There's really no reason to do marketing unless you want money, right? Like, the whole reason we're doing this is for sales. And so many people spend money on marketing, or they're just doing marketing. Sometimes they're not spending money, they just do marketing.
Mhm.
They're spending time. Either way, you're spending a resource, you're getting no results. So let's talk about the top 5 reasons, or at least top, well, we'll just say 5 reasons.
Yeah.
Maybe it's not the top 5 because maybe you're suffering from 6 or 7. But
Yeah.
anyway, we'll talk about 5 reasons why your marketing is not converting to sales. And honestly, if it's not converting to sales, then you're probably one of these people that always say, marketing's not worth it. We don't get an
Mhm.
ROI on it. It just stop.
Mhm.
It's nothing is coming in.
Yeah.
Yeah. It doesn't mean marketing is not working. It means your marketing is not working.
You're doing it wrong.
You know, the challenge is trying to figure that out.
Yeah.
So hopefully we'll go through a few of them and maybe some of these will resonate with you. And you're like, you know what? That's probably why my marketing is not working.
Mhm.
Like anything else, it's not easy. Marketing can be a lot of work.
Yeah.
It's not that it's confusing as much as it's more work than people think it is,
Mhm.
and they don't give it the proper amount of time and energy and effort. So,
Mhm.
all
Mhm.
right, you ready?
I'm ready.
Okay, throw out number one. What's not necessarily the number one reason, but number one?
Okay, our number one on our list is you're attracting the wrong audience.
Mm,
So, what that means is that maybe in your messaging, you are being a little too general, or maybe the things that you're saying is not connecting to the audience that you're actually trying to connect with. And so, there, you're missing the people that you really want. You're getting lost, you're getting buried amongst everyone else. And so your audience may actually look at you, but because you're, not saying the right thing, maybe you're not looking the right part, they're looking right over you and they're on to the next. So it's very, it could be one of the reasons why it's not working is just attracting the wrong audience. You need to define who is it that you are trying to reach, who is that ideal customer. And you need to be very specific about it. So one of the things that we do in our brand strategy sessions is that we define the persona. Who is this person? Who is your target audience? What do they like? What is what kind of language do they speak? Where are they?
mhm.
What industry is it? Where do they shop? What kind of things are they attracted to? So that you can start speaking to them in a way that's attractive to them.
Yeah.
So that's something that I think people just kind of gloss over, is that have you defined who you're actually trying to reach?
hmm One way to put it, and this is kind of a change of the way of thinking that I like, which is it is just as important to know who you don't want as a client as who you do want as a client. And some of your messaging should actually push people away. Now, I don't mean it needs to be something that makes people mad, but something that might push somebody away, for example, would be if you're a company that has at least 50 employees and you're making a top line revenue of at least 5 million a year, all these indicators are things that other people can go, oh, okay, that's not me.
Mhm.
I'm not 50 million or whatever a year, and I'm not X number of employees. All of those things are pushing the wrong people away and attracting the right people. Because
Mhm.
if I am a company that has 50 employees and X million a year, because that's what you listed, then I'm like, oh, this is for me.
Mhm. Mhm. Yeah, very true.
All right, number two.
All right. Number two is your message lacks clarity. So it kind of goes hand in hand with number one. So,
hmm
what are you saying? So, now that you've identified your target audience and who you're after, are you speaking the right language? Are you saying the things that is attractive to them? And are you explaining what you do properly?
hmm
So, it's so easy to get caught up in your own language within your industry because that's what you you studied. That's what you kind of grew up in as a business. So you're used to saying certain words and using certain lingo, but your audience whose problem you're trying to solve have no idea what you're talking about. They don't
Mm-mm.
know that language, because if they did, they probably wouldn't need you to solve their problem. So they don't know that language. So are you using the right messaging? Are you speaking in a way that they understand and that solves their issue to where they go, "Oh, that's me. I need that solution. That's my problem that you're talking to." So what is the messaging? And is it clear about who you serve, what you do, what services you provide, what problems you solve? So, yep.
Yeah. Yeah, I would definitely say the problems you solve is a big point, because some people talk all about their solutions, but they don't necessarily tie them to, what is the benefits of having that solution, or what problem is it you're actually trying to solve. Even if I have that problem, maybe I don't know that. And so
Mhm.
what things can I do to uncover that problem? Can you help me find out whether or not I have that problem? You and I were talking before we were recording about the vacuum cleaner salesman of years ago. And they'd
Yeah.
come in and they would say, "I got this vacuum cleaner that's better than everything else." And most people were like, "I've got a vacuum. I don't need you. Like, I don't
Mhm.
have a problem."
Mhm.
And then they would have you vacuum an area of your carpet, and then they would go over that same area with their vacuum cleaner after you just vacuumed, and then they'd show you all this dirt it picked up.
Yep.
They were basically uncovering a problem for you didn't even know you had.
Yep. Yep. That's true. And so you have people that are in different places. You have people that are problem aware. They know they have this problem and they know they need to fix it. You have people that don't even realize that they know something isn't right. They know that ultimately they're not generating revenue, or ultimately they're not whatever it is. But they can't tell you why that problem is there.
Mm,
So you have to speak to those different things in your messaging.
yep. All right, number 3.
All right, number three, your brand looks inconsistent or unprofessional.
Mm.
So this is really speaking to the DIYers. And so there's going to come a point where you're going to have to grow up in your business. And when you grow up in your business, that means that it's time to get some professional help, because your website versus your social media versus your print products, they need to be consistent. Is it the same brand? Because the reason why this is important and how it relates to marketing is that it builds trust. It means that this particular business is serious about the services that they provide, and they're going to judge you based off of what they're seeing. So if your visual designs and visual imagery or your visual brand is unprofessional, they will automatically assume that your services that you provide are unprofessional. And I
Oh,
think a
yeah.
lot of people miss that. They think that it's something that, oh, well, this is good enough. Well, just know that people are going to think the same way about your services, that they're probably not that great because they don't look that great and it's inconsistent and it's unprofessional. They really are judging you based off of what you're putting out there.
Yeah. This actually happened to me yesterday. I was on a website looking at a SaaS service, so a software as a service, and the website looked great. And I clicked on the explainer video, and the explainer video was something that was definitely created with AI, and the voiceover was AI, and it mispronounced several words.
Mm,
And I was like, why would you not spend $500 or $1,000, whatever it is, to get a professional video done? And needless to say, I clicked off the site. I was like,
mm-hmm.
it just turned me off. Like, I don't know that your product is going to be any better if you're not willing to invest in something like that, because it's
Yep.
not like we're talking a major investment. And so I just it gave me the feeling that they cut corners.
Mm-hmm.
Like, let's just put something out that's good enough.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And and I don't want to give my money to somebody who's just barely doing something that's good enough.
Yeah.
And so they didn't get my sale.
It reminds me of kind of like the flea markets, where you go for the discounted prices and the discounted rates and the hand-me-downs and things like that. And
Mhm.
it's just like all over the place. You have this shop here, this shop there, and it's just cluttered and it's just chaos. And you're going there for a discount, but you know that you get what you get. Like
Yep.
somebody probably had that thing for about 15 years before they decide to sell it for 20 cents or something like that. But then you go to this high-end posh type store in the mall that has like the lighting is nice. It's got the glass kind of doors and windows, and it has the best products, and it's got the music, and it's got the whole feel, just like this is a high-end store.
Hmm.
When you go into that store, you're going to automatically assume they got the best fabrics. You're going to assume that this is customized, high-end type of clothing, if it's a clothing store, that someone has hand stitched every single little piece, that it's not something that's going to easily wear and tear, that they really took care of their product. That's what you're going to assume just by the way it looks. So it may not even be true, but you're gonna assume that because it looks high end. Like, this is a high end store. I could tell
Hmm.
this is like good quality, product. You don't even know it, but it looks like it's good high end product just from the way it looks. So the same thing applies to your business. You can get the flea market type look where it's like, oh, they spent like 20 cents on this. It's probably gonna fall apart. Or you can get the high end look where you know that they took care of their product. There's a lot of thought behind it. They probably got high end customer service. You're gonna want that high end look. You want that kind of service. So, however you're presenting yourself is the way people are gonna think about your product or the services that you provide.
Yep. And that is also very indicative to your sales.
Hmm.
So, if you're attracting the people that are looking for a 10-cent deal, that's the kind of money you're going
Yeah.
to make. So, all right, number 4.
All right, you're focusing on tactics and not strategy.
Oh yeah.
And you're also not tracking what's working. So, this
Ooh.
is really easy to do with social media,
Mhm.
where we have a thing that we call vanity metrics, where, oh, I got this amount of likes, I got this amount of reach or views, and those things are nice. They are some kind of indicator, but is it making you money? You can go viral and not make a dime. You
Mhm.
can go viral and never get a client. And it may be because of the things that we talked about earlier. You're not speaking to your target audience. You're not talking about, you're not talking to their problem and offering the solutions and the benefits of what you provide. And so you're like all excited because, yay, I got 1,000 likes. And none of those likes turned into a sale.
Mhm.
So, is it really working for you? Are you even tracking it? And so, if you're putting out videos, or you're putting out static posts, or you're putting out carousels, or any kind of content that you're putting out, are you tracking what's working? Which one got the most views? Which one got views in terms of followers versus non-followers? Which ones actually led to a click to your website? Did they actually go to your landing page? Did they fill out the contact form? Did they DM you? Are they actually turning into leads, or are you just getting likes and that's it, and it doesn't go beyond that part? Are you tracking what's working, and can you pivot fast enough? So once you find out that this particular video works, or this particular topic works, then how long does it take for you to figure that out, and then to begin to pivot your strategy to do more of what's working? But in
Mhm.
order to do that, you got to track it first. You got to see what's working. You got to put stuff out there and see what works, what doesn't work, and define work. So when I say what works, meaning what is actually generating leads, what's actually generating sales, not necessarily likes, but what actually is generating leads.
Yep. Yeah. I mean, that's like if you bring that down to the physical storefront, you imagine everybody walking in and going, "I like your stuff," and then walking out. You're
Yeah.
like, what's the problem? And
Yeah.
that's what happens in the digital world. Everybody's walking by and they're like, "Oh, look," but nobody's giving you any money, so there's a
Yeah.
problem there.
Yeah.
Um, and this is the point where I'm talking about it takes a lot of work to do this
Mhm.
stuff well, and
Mhm.
this is where having an agency to come in and do these things for you makes a lot of sense, because
Mhm.
it can take a lot of time and additional money and resources and even expertise to do all this tracking and to look at these metrics and to decide what's working and not working.
Mhm.
And if you're running your business, you probably don't have time to do these things. And even
Mhm.
if you do have time, you probably don't have the tools, and probably don't have the knowledge to do all these things.
Yep.
And so it just makes sense to have that outsourced to an agency that can do these things.
Yeah. Yeah. It kind of.
Also, you
Mhm.
could say, Deanya, my marketing is working, and you're spending, let's just throw a number out there. You're spending $1,000 a month on marketing, and you're like, it's working. But what you may not know is that what you see as working is only 40%, and you're wasting 60% of your money.
Yep.
40% is working, 60% is not. What if we took that 60% that's not working and moved it over to the 40% that is working, and now you're getting two and a half times more results from that?
Yeah. Yeah. Yep.
So
Yeah, you
if
should
you don't,
always be evaluating that. You should always say, and are we getting the most out of what's possible? Don't just settle for, okay, yeah, I got 2 leads and I'm good. Like,
yeah.
you could be getting a lot more. Like, don't just settle. But again, you have to track it to see, is it working? How much are you investing and how much of a return are you getting on that? How much are you posting and how much of a return are you getting on that? How much time are you spending and how much of a return are you getting on that? Now, there are certain things that do take time. Don't get me wrong. You can't just start posting things tomorrow and think that, oh, I got leads because I posted once, or I did this thing one time. You have to be willing to pivot to try to figure these things out for your audience and your industry and your business and for you, because you are unique. You have a unique value proposition. You're not like the other person, so you can't do exactly the same thing as the other person because it's a different business. You're you, and it's your business. So this is why you have to tweak and tweak and tweak. And there's no one stop, this plan works for everybody. If people tell you that, it's
Mhm.
not true. There's principles that work, but that cookie cutter thing that works for everyone, if that was the case, then everyone would do it and everyone would be multi-millionaires and billionaires. It's not like that. You have to figure out what works for your industry and your business and you specifically, because you're unique. You're not like everyone else. And your audience is very specific, or it should be very specific. So you got to speak to that audience. What you do to, for example, if your audience is between 20 and 30-year-olds, that message is not going to be the same message if your audience is between 50 and 70-year-olds. They speak differently. They're attracted to two different types of things. What if your audience doesn't have high education versus another audience that are highly educated with all of these degrees and all, they don't speak the same, they're not attracted to the same things. So you need to know that and be able to track how well you're doing and if you're actually making any improvements on your efforts.
Mhm. Yeah, and this is one of the mistakes I see, or one of the areas anyway, where people get caught up with activity. So you hear somebody say, you need to post 3 times a week, or you need to post 3 times a day, or whatever it is. And they're like, okay, well, I don't know what to post, but as long as I post 3 times a day, it'll work. And I'm like,
Hmm.
no,
Nope.
that's not it. It's kind of
No.
like, you, if you're going the wrong direction, it doesn't matter how fast you go. You're still going in the wrong direction.
Yeah, yeah, it's true. It reminds me, here's an analogy, taking that same storefront. Imagine you have this high-end storefront. This is you. Your business is the high-end storefront with amazing products, amazing quality, amazing customer service. And you take that high-end store and you put it in a very, very low income type area. People will come in and they will love that store. They'll go, "Oh, this is beautiful. Oh, I love these products. I love it," but they can't afford it. They're not going to buy it. Even if they want to, they're not going to do it because they can't. So you got this beautiful store in the wrong audience. It's in the wrong place. It's in the
Mhm.
wrong, and so, but you took someone else's cookie cutter plan to do this, do this, do this, and you just plopped it here and it's getting the wrong attention. Whereas you could take that exact same product, exact same business, exact same store, move it to a different location and make a killing off of that because it's in front of the right audience and you're getting the right people to go into it. So a lot of times you can psych yourself out and think you don't have a good product, when really it's just not it's not in front of the right people.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. All right, that brings us to number 5.
All right, number 5, underfunding and resource constraints. So just like I said, you can psych yourself out and think you don't have a good product. And because you're not in front of the right people, sometimes what businesses will do is they'll start cutting back on their marketing expenses. They'll start saying, "Oh, let's not spend so much. It didn't work. Don't let's cut our investments in marketing." Or they don't understand the importance of marketing, and so they have a budget for everything else, but they don't have a proper budget for marketing. So they begin to cut marketing expenses and their businesses will feel it. And they will
Mm-hmm.
feel it. So that is one of the problems, is that you're probably not investing enough into your marketing. You're not investing enough time. You're not investing enough money into it. And so that's a huge issue.
Yeah. So let's talk about percentages, because one thing that I always a- appreciated was when somebody said, okay, if you're telling me I'm not spending enough on marketing, then what does that mean? Like, where should I be spending it? I can't spend all my money on marketing. And so luckily, guess what? We have information about that. And so if you are doing B2B sales, so you're selling to another business, then you are usually allocating 5 to 10% of your annual revenue. Now, 5% means you're maintaining, 10% means you're looking at growth.
Mm-hmm.
Anything less than 5%, you're probably going backwards.
Yep.
Anything more than 10% means you're trying to get hyper growth.
Yep.
So you just have to determine what one do you want to do. If you're telling me I'm trying to grow, but you're giving me 5% to work with, I'm like, you're not going to get there.
Mm-hmm.
It's not going to happen.
Yep.
So if you're doing, let's take easy numbers. If you're doing $1 million in top line revenue and you're trying to spend 10% for your marketing budget, you're looking at $100,000 a year
Mm-hmm.
in marketing.
Mm-hmm.
So, and that's for growth. That's
Yep.
pretty aggressive growth.
Yep.
Now, if you're on the B2C side, then you're looking at a higher spend. You're actually looking at 8 to 15% in order to do that. And I'm talking in general terms, but if you come to us and you're in a specific industry, we're going to do our research to figure out what that looks like, because some industries are different. For example, if you're in tech and software, it's between 12 and 20%.
Mm-hmm.
If you're in healthcare, 5 to 10%. If you're in professional services, 5 to 9%. If you're in retail, it's 10 to 20%, a lot higher.
Yep.
And if you're in something like manufacturing where there's not as much noise, it's actually lower. It's 2 to 5%
Mm-hmm.
to get those results. And so it just depends on what kind of noise is out there in your competition and what are they doing and what do you have to cut through to get people to even know you even exist.
Mm-hmm.
And there are metrics for all of those things. But you should probably be looking at spending, somewhere around the 7% range
Mm-hmm.
to get started in something like that.
Yep. Yeah.
And if you don't have it and you're like, I just can't do it, I don't have it, then this is where we have a conversation about, okay, if we can't do it all for you, then what can you do? And what can we come alongside you and help? Maybe it's that we can create some templates for you, and then you can go out and you can start trying to operate your strategy on your own until you get to the point where you can have somebody do all the extra work for you. Because if you're just starting out or you've only been in business a short period of time, you're probably not going to have the revenue to hand all this off. And that's okay. But you want to get to the point where eventually you do have that and you can put it on autopilot by outsourcing that to Pixel 13 and having us do all that for you.
Yeah, I would say a good takeaway from that, if you're in that category of not having enough revenue, my question to you is, what is your plan? What is your plan to eventually get the revenue to invest, because there are a lot of times, especially for those who are just starting out or just don't have that kind of revenue to invest in marketing. They'll say, oh, I don't have that right now. I don't have, 7%. I don't even have 5%, to invest. And it's okay. You got to start somewhere. But how long are you going to stay there? You can't camp out there. You have to be figuring out, what can I do on my own, and consult with professionals about it. I mean, we're so helpful. People ask, advice all the time, and look up, videos, reach out to people and get the information that you need so that you can get to a place where you can invest that kind of money. But you can't camp out there and say, well, this is what I've been doing for the last 5 years. If you've been in that place for 5 years, it's not working. You can't keep saying that. You can't keep saying, I don't have 5 or 7% to invest in my marketing. I mean, I've known people for a long time and they're in the same spot. And I'm like, it's not working. You need to do something. You need a strategy. You need a plan so that you can start investing so that your business can grow. So get a
Mhm.
strategy, get a plan.
All right. That is the top 5 that we have for you. Those are potential reasons why your marketing is not converting to sales. And if you're like me, why else would you even be doing marketing if it wasn't for the fact that you want more money coming in the door?
Yep.
So there you have it. If you want to find us, you can reach out at pixel13cx.com, and we'll be waiting there to help you get more money in your pocket.
See ya.